Good morning on to change the world on this Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon already. It's 12:15 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time, and really welcome again for those who are joining and who are used to join, the faithful ones, the loyal ones, and to those I also would like to share a little bit of an housekeeping point is to please register on YouTube. You can watch this, by the way, on YouTube right now on the live side of our channel. And also, you can do this the same on Instagram, on Facebook, on X Twitter, and on Spotify later, because this is a recording that we are going to have as a podcast, and YouTube. So on YouTube, I need you to please subscribe on YouTube. That will be a very big sign of subscription. You know what subscription means, right? It's a little bit of a commitment. And we are surrounded and completely overwhelmed with emails and with different solicitations about going on a social media, on the web, and just type our name or click a button that I subscribe. I know it's a bit of a heavy duty request I have, but the truth is it's a motivation for I'm not alone. There's an entire team behind me for content, for pushing this through. We are working right now for the second quarter at doing a lot of new efforts to promote this show and all the things that we do in terms of content. So please do so. It would be really nice. You can also please use the comment line, as I invited you to do so, I think on YouTube and on LinkedIn, because but I cannot unfortunately respond to you real time. But I can just try to do it if I see the message and I can read it. I'll do it with pleasure. Lastly, you can also go on our website, andrepolitzer.com or coachingpath.com, and also a new website that is called spotlightmindset.com. And I leave you the surprise to discover what it means. But it is very much in line with what we're going to talk about today. Spotlight mindset is to be, in fact, completely aware that you are under the spotlight, that you're visible. Why? Because you as a person are in life on earth, someone who can have an influence, can have an impact on someone else. And it's the whole essence of the title of this show, by the way, right? I mean, you change the world because of who you are. You change the world for the effort you make to have an impact in the world. And an impact that I'm talking about here is a human impact, not a political impact, not necessarily a business impact. It's an impact about yourself, your essence, what you emulate from your person, from your personality. And the more you're going to show that authentically, and the more your impact will be strong and powerful, and people will really know who they're dealing with. So, your awareness of being seen by someone else, by one person or a million, like now, I'm doing what I do with a certain awareness that you're watching me and I'm talking to you, so I have to put some emphasis in my voice. But what you see is what you get. It's me. I'm not trying to play anyone else. At this stage of my life, at this very, very moment, you see me as I am. And I'm trying to stay authentic. I'm not influenced by anything else externally. I don't think so. But what I want, though, is to come across for you to be someone who knows what he's talking about, who is very, very, very humble in the sense that I do not know what's about tomorrow, and I do not pretend I know. So I'm not doing any predictions like so many people do on the internet, on TV, and all of that. Famous people in law or in any kind of topic, they will do a prediction politically, elections, pandemic, and who knows what. And there will be always an agenda behind it because people are not prophets, right? People are not prophets. So you can have an intuition, you can share maybe what you feel, but you cannot say it's going to happen that way. So please, right, be very sure that this is not what I am going to try to do or who I am. So perception. There's people who say location. I say perception, because this is many, many times what we are talking about in the coaching session. Why? Because people have to make an impression, a first impression or an impression on other people if it's to convince, or when they negotiate something about sales, about convincing, or about just presenting themselves and put there themselves as a positive presence, as someone who has a growth mindset, who wants to grow, who wants people around him or her to grow. Someone who comes, in fact, with a positive mindset. Mindset is the fuel for your presence. It's the fuel for the perception you create around you. Now, how do you do this? How do you master it? As I kind of took the audacity to use the word mastering. Well, the more you're aware and the more you control somehow something about yourself, controlling your mind is trying to put some boundaries about not being influenced by external influences that not necessarily good for you, or just to stay within yourself in your own sanctuary. I love to use that expression. I think that many things are spiritual about the person, and the sanctuary is something spiritual. I talk about that because that's space. When it comes to time, I say very, very often that you own your own destiny. We talk about this very often, but I have to repeat it all the time. And to my clients also. Hey, oh, 1 second. What are you dependent on right now? Or who are you dependent on right now to influence your decision, to change your mind, to block your family from going on vacation because you made a decision that you're going to make all these extra hours on your own? You did not delegate. You did not organize your time well enough. You did not structure your month in the sense that you provide provision time and for your family, for your children, I mean, all the things that you can master, own, and be independent about. My first question I ask when someone comes about time management or prioritization is, how much percentage of this time of yours is mandatory and taken by someone or someone owns? We used to have this picture, and there is still this picture for many people out there who are on a shift or belong to a crew where there is no choice. I'm starting at 9 a.m. or there's a flight coming up, at 7 a.m. and I'm part of the flying attendants. I'm part of the staff. I cannot miss the flight. They count on me to be on the flight and serve the passengers. So those people belong to a shift, and in the hospital, nurses, all the staff being in the hospital 24/7, we need to cover this hospital, the hotel for hospitality, for any kind of shift like this, the concierge of a building in New York, who has also to cover some hours because there's a guarantee or a service contract that guarantees 24/7 of the building to be guarded by a human being or by several people. Parking lot, all kind of things like that, where the staff is mandatory, obligated to be there from 9 to 5 or from midnight to 7 or to 8, right? These people can tell me when I ask the question that 70% of their time is owned by their employer because they need to go there for this time, from this time to that time. Doesn't mean that within that time frame there is no time to get some autonomy and independence. There is time for a lunch break, right? Or times for a break simply because you have to take it to breathe, because otherwise you're going to burn out. So why do I talk about all of this? Because you own so many things that sometimes you don't know you do own. About perception, the perception people have about you. You think you don't own it? You think you have no ownership at all? No stake at all about how people are going to see you and experience you? I'm asking you the question. I really do. Please use the comment line. Tell me your experience about this. Ask me questions. If you have, I don't have necessarily an answer, but I will share my experience with you. My experience of that started really the day I really became so aware of it was the day when I performed on stage, right? I had still hesitations between making a career in the business world or the normal standard world, or be an artist and play on stage and be an actor. Actor in theaters, not really an actor for movies, but for theaters. I like the contact with the audience. I love that feeling of being really under the spotlight in front of a black hole, because you don't see the audience when spotlights are on your eyes, but feeling them, feeling their breath, feeling their presence and their attention, and their need to be or entertained or to be intrigued by the story that you were representing in the character you were playing. An actor is a professional, normally, and a good one at least, is a professional about perception. That's the perception specialist. That's the perception expert. And there's not one time when we talk about executive presence or when we talk about leadership, there's not one time I'm not mentioning something about acting methods. Because the acting method which I carried with me, I never knew why in my career I had to go on stage for a while, but this is why. I am bringing this now at this stage of my life when I'm coaching people, when I'm mentoring people, or when I mediate. I bring this up. I bring this necessity, this indispensable tool of integrating acting in our life. And everybody thinks that acting means I'm going to do something fake. I'm going to play someone I'm not. And it's very interesting to tell you that even you are going to be Richard III, or you're going to be, Hamlet in a Shakespeare play, you are still yourself in that role. And Mr. Al Pacino in The Godfather, I use very often this example because, first of all, he's a well-known actor. And I think a majority of my clients believe, like I do, that he's a very good actor, is an excellent Godfather. Because when he's going to be in that scene in a few minutes in front of the camera, playing this Godfather at the dining table, having an impression, making an impression on his family members or whoever is going to sit there, and be scared about him, that in fact he owns their life and death in his hands because he's a gangster and is someone he really can kill. Anyone who would upset him is a real, truly organic gangster. There's many of those that you don't know are publicly showcasing these days, and we don't even know they are gangsters. But this one is known as such, and he plays that way. But see him also when he plays this Perfume of Woman, I think it's called, when he's blind, and he really shows every single gesture. He practiced it to be seen as the person, as the character, blind character, who's going to be challenged by his blindness in all the different scenes throughout the movie. Beautiful masterpiece kind of movie. Those kind of movies that stay in your mind when you watch them because of his performance, because of his acting performance. Perception is a consciousness that you carry with you when you are a leader, when you are someone who wants to have an impact, when you're a teacher, when you're an author, when you're an anchor, when you're publicly seen, or when you're just a father or a husband and you wake up in the morning and someone is going to see you right at the moment you're going to open your eyes. At this very second, you are already seen by someone else. You are on stage at this very moment when someone sees you, and it is a serious responsibility. Are you ready to take ownership about your responsibility to have an impact in the world? And especially when you're a leader. You can be introverted. You can be a nerdy person. You can be completely discreet and silent. You're still present. If you are sitting in this meeting room with me and you're not opening your mouth, I still feel your body. You're still there sitting, and you have a reason to be there. There is a purpose for your presence to be there. You don't necessarily have to talk. You don't have necessarily to have to yell, but your presence counts. You bring value to this very moment, to this space. And this is perception. People are going to experience your presence. This is their essence that they're going to experience. If you want to be an inspirational person, and some people really have that in their gut and in their blood, there's sometimes priests, rabbis, they're spiritual people. They want to influence, but they certainly want to inspire, right? Or you want just simply to be an inspiring husband or an inspiring father, an inspiring leader. You need to be conscious about it. You need to own this. How do you come across? How do you bring yourself into this moment, into that situation? That's going to be perception. And I'm sure that if I bring you and you hear this for the first time, that might wake you up on something. I hope it does. That's the purpose of this show. That's the purpose of making myself a little bit more public than only on my one or my team coaching sessions. I'm developing team coaching a lot these days. I'm training myself. I'm certifying right now in a team coaching certification program that is not easy and takes a lot of time. And I'm very serious about all the certifications, not to collect certificates, but to be able to coach professionally and to take the challenge of different challenges that, of course, you find in corporate America, in corporate world, or in any setting where there is an organization or people together, a community where they need to communicate better, where they need to come to certain conclusions or constructive outcomes. This is why I'm so passionate about this concept of perception. It's not the first time I'm talking about it, but it's the first time I'm focusing on the word perception. To have you focus on it, to have you practice. There is an incredible thing about this method of acting that Stanislavski invented back in the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th. He was an actor, he was an author, but he especially created a method that is well known by all the professional actors and by many coaches, called the Stanislavski method, where really there's a core part of this method called the magic if. The magic if is to, in fact, and this is how I'm going to close this talk today, because it's short today, but I want to make that point very strong. Hopefully you hear it and hopefully it resonates with you. And it is the point of the magic of your imagination. It's to project yourself. It's to visualize yourself ahead of time in a challenging situation or a situation period. But for a challenging situation, for sure, I would encourage you and practice with you as a coach to visualize yourself into this future situation you're going to be in with one person, with 100 people, making a public presentation or a public speaking contribution. Whatever role you play, you own that role and you want to own it and perform with it the best of your capability. And you have this incredible potential to show the best of yourself in that situation. The most challenging situation, the most uncomfortable, situation, my microphone. I get close to it because I need to have you hear me. And this is a beautiful, pretty microphone, but not such great quality in terms of the sound. So I have to be close to it. Now that I reveal that secret, you see, I wanted to have the right to give you the right perception of why this microphone is close to me. Of course, it's for branding too. You recognize my show more with this red microphone than with my face, right? Because I'm aware of what maybe this microphone can make as an effect on you. People who are in advertising, people who are in communication, on PR, of course they are professionals of perceptions. But now back to my magic if. You project yourself, you visualize yourself in this situation to come. And that's an incredible power when you do that. Because what it allows you to do is to master, to be in control, in other words, of what's going to happen. So that's not prediction, that's preparation, that's practice. I think there is a high chance that if I imagine myself in that situation that's going to happen, and I imagine the people around me, and Stanislavski goes much, much deeper than the people or the room where you are. It goes by the time of the day, it goes by the season of the year, it goes by so many, many criteria so that your imagination brings you to the reality as close as possible, to this reality of tomorrow, being in that space, in this challenging moment when you need to make a point, have your voice heard, or something you need to impact. And you have to prepare yourself for it. What are you going to practice about? That imagination, closing your eyes, seeing the people in the room, seeing why you are here, present with them. If I'm going to speak or not speak, or if I get to be ready to speak, and if I raise my hand to say something, to be prepared with what I'm going to say. So I'm going to kind of prepare myself. And I'm never very concerned about the content, to be honest, because you're expert in your field. The content you always can prepare, you're used to it. You went to university or to school and you knew how to prepare an essay or to prepare a presentation. Now, I'm very much about verbal and physical presence, but I'm not forgetting that sometimes you write an email or you write something. Can you imagine now how much you need to be in control of that? I mean, email is my worst enemy, and I think my client's worst enemy. Email is this incredible hell where you're going to be exposed to a certain way, in a certain way that you're not even able to predict. Email can be held against you in court because you said or wrote something you didn't mean, but that word is going to make you condescending, or it was going to make you offensive, or it's going to make you make a mistake, legal mistake. So email is something to refrain from at all costs. Email, even if you're intentional about the perception you're going to give, might even be misleading you because you don't know all the laws or all the people's mindset. And this pushing the button. Yesterday I was coaching someone. He said, before I press the button, I think twice. Well, I think maybe I think a million times before I press this bloody button because it's bloody. This button can cost you so much. You forgot the BCCs that you had in the in the in this email, or the CCs, and you replied to all, and then I replied to everybody. I didn't want to show what I was saying to this guy. It was a little bit personal, a little bit, no, everybody's going to see what I said, what I wrote, and it's a catastrophe. I think the last time I did this was, I don't remember, but it was really bad. I did it. I was, my gosh, what did I do? Everybody saw me. So this is what it is. It's a big responsibility. And I think that anybody who's public, those people who are famous, can you imagine the nightmare of a life they have? They're always visible. They have paparazzi running after them, right? I cannot forget, Princess Diana with this paparazzi thing, because I think that's what killed her in that tunnel in Paris. And we all are sad about what happened. It's an accident. It was terrible. But those people who are public, can you imagine how much they have to be aware of the impact that they make and about the perception that people have about them? They don't know by the unit for millions of people. Every million and single person of those millions know or think about them. For sure not. But they have a certain mastery about and a certain control about how they want to come across. I think I made my point today, hopefully, about mastering perception. But you change the world when you are mastering the perception you create around you, especially when you have a purpose, a goal in mind to pass your message through, to convey something to your audience. You think of those people as recipients of your message. That's communication. That's responsibility. So hopefully this point is helping you today. I don't know, but if it does, at least react to it. Make your comments also on LinkedIn. You didn't make it live. I didn't see anything coming, but do not forget to share, to provide your your point of view. It's so important. It's nothing like a point of view. And like Steve Young says, perception is reality. So if you are perceived to be something, you might as well be it because that's the truth in people's mind. So you never know what is people's mind and if they will like you or not like you. It's not the point of being liked or not liked. It's how you have come across. What do you really convey to people and what do they experience about your presence and about yourself? By the way, there's something else I want to add. Consistency, like a brand. We talk also about personal branding. Your brand is a strong brand when you're consistent. You cannot be this person today and that person tomorrow. You cannot be a liar because if you lie, you're not going to hold your lie and it's going to reveal itself at one point one day. You're going to forget you said this or that. People who are lying, they lose it. They don't understand why it's not a good choice. Uh, Not being truthful is maybe one aspect in politics or in business that you can eventually afford or are entitled because you save something, you preserve something, or you preserve something also from happening. But to lie is something that is going to make you very inconsistent. I bring this up. That's to do with perception. Perception can be a strong one and become your brand because you bring yourself into those situations the same way, in a very consistent way, each time. Whichever situation occurs, you bring yourself the same, and the same. They experience you with your DNA the same for who you are and what you bring in the room, what energy you bring in the room. If you have a positive mindset or a growth mindset, and you show it each time, that's part of your brand. It's the consistent part of your brand. And that's very powerful, very, very powerful. I want to leave you with a recommendation of one book. It's called The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf Dubelli. So this is a book that explores the ways of minds when they deceive us, including how perception can be influenced by biases, by faulty reasoning, by lies, by all kind of insights that this book is going to give you about how people create a perception voluntarily, or if it's not intentionally, they're going to really start falling into different traps, and people are going to have the wrong perception about them. And that's not what you want when you lead a team or when you're responsible about something. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for watching. I tell you to come next week. This is going to be on the 25th at 1 p.m. EDT, a special show with a guest. I leave you the surprise. Watch the announcement. I will, in fact, send it in a few minutes. And have a wonderful weekend. And for those who have holidays, happy holidays, and see you soon. Take care.